بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إذا جاء رمضان فتحت أبواب الجنة وغلقت أبواب النار وصفدت الشياطين. متفق عليه. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is now the 15th day of the month of Sha'ban, and inshallah this blessed day, it marks now that we are 2 weeks away from the blessed month of Ramadan. And one of the sunnahs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the month of Sha'ban is that he would prepare for the month of Ramadan. And as we know that when we have a very dear guest that will be joining us and that will be visiting us, what do we do when that guest is going to be coming to our home? Some guest who is very special, not just any friend who is coming to visit us, but somebody who is a very auspicious guest, someone who is a very senior and special guest. How do we invite them, and how do we prepare for them? Is it that right when the guest rings the doorbell and they say, "Oh, everybody, hey, clean the house, vacuum it, get that, put that under the couch," and that's the way that we prepare for the reception of a blessed and auspicious guest? Or when we hear that this guest is coming, then weeks before we start planning that there's a very auspicious guest who is visiting us from out of town. He's a very special person. He's a very senior person. He's my uncle or my aunt or my mother or my father or my grandparent. They're coming. So weeks before, we are preparing to receive this auspicious guest. This is what a person who really has the reverence and esteem for that guest, this is what he would do. Otherwise, imagine this, that if a very auspicious and special guest is coming to your home, your mother, your father, your grandparent, your elder, and as soon as they ring the doorbell, "Oh, I didn't even know you were coming. Oh my goodness, hey, you put that thing under this couch and fix the thing and wash the dishes and everything's messed up and now you're scrambling to..." What will the person think when they come to your home and this is what you're doing? Number one, it shows you have no reverence, you have no respect, and you have no honor actually for the person who is coming. Secondly, it shows your ghaflat, your carelessness, your own heedlessness, that how could you not appreciate, how could you not honor and understand what is the status of this person who is coming? Now imagine, my dear brothers and sisters, we have a special guest that is arriving. Such a guest that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, إِذَا جَاءَ رَمَضَانَ فُتِّحَتْ أَبْوَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. When this guest, this month of Ramadan, which is a very special guest, what does this guest come from? Is this guest just, gonna make us stay hungry and stay thirsty? There's some spiritual realities to this blessed month. This is not just a month of, starvation, or a month of dieting, or a month where we lose weight and then a week later we just gain it all back again. That's not what this month is. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us the spiritual realities of this month. As is mentioned in the hadith, which is muttafaq alayh, Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu narrates, إِذَا جَاءَ رَمَضَانَ فُتِّحَتْ أَبْوَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. The gateways of paradise are opened in this blessed month. وَغُلِّقَتْ أَبْوَابُ النَّارِ. And the gateways of hellfire are closed in this blessed month. وَصُفِّدَتِ الشَّيَاطِينَ. And the shayateen, the rebellious ones who are constantly trying to lead human beings astray, they are locked up. What does this mean? This is telling us that this is a month where Allah Azza wa Jal wants to shower His mercy. This is the month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to forgive us. This is the month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to bless us. This is the month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to grant us His gifts and His bounties. So when we have such a blessed and honorable guest that is coming, it is only suitable, it is only rightful that we should prepare for this month. Prepare for it spiritually. Prepare for it knowing that, okay, 2 weeks is enough time that we prepare for this blessed month. Subhanallah. This is a season of divine mercy. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he quotes some of the Salaf. He quotes some of the great scholars. Very beautiful points he mentions. He says that شهر شعبان مفتاح الخير والبركة. شهر شعبان مفتاح الخير والبركة. The month of Sha'ban is the key of all khair and barakah. This is the door. Sha'ban is the door, and behind this door is Ramadan. So we have to honor this door because it is the key, it is the gateway that we are going to receive now the khair and barakah that is going to come. He quotes Abu Bakr al-Warraq al-Balkhi rahimahullah ta'ala. شهر رجب شهر الزرع وشهر شعبان شهر السقي للزرع وشهر رمضان شهر حصاد الزرع. How beautifully he says. Shaykh Abu Bakr al-Warraq al-Balkhi, he says the month of Rajab is the month of cultivating. You plant your seeds. You cultivate in this month, in the month of Rajab. You prepare the earth. You plant the seeds. And shahru Sha'ban, shahru saqi lizzara. And the month of Sha'ban is the month where you start watering. You start watering what you cultivated. You start watering your seeds, your plants, what you've planted now. That shows that Sha'ban there should be some activity. Because if you're watering in the month of Sha'ban, that means you're doing something. And we know that one time Usama ibn Zayd radiyallahu anhu, he said, Ya Rasulullah, why is it that we see you abundantly fasting in the month of Sha'ban? He says, this is the month in which the deeds are lifted to Allah. This is the month in which people are generally heedless. This is the month in which, out of honor of Ramadan, ta'zeeman li Ramadan, out of honor for the guest, I am preparing myself. Subhanallah. So there has to be some activities, some things we should be doing in this month, not completely heedless and not completely unmindful. So he says, the month of Rajab, which passed, that's the month where we start cultivating. And the month of Sha'ban is the month we start watering our cultivation. وَشَهْرُ رَمَضَانْ شَهْرُ حَصَادِ الزَّرَعِ. And the month of Ramadan is the month of harvest. The month of Ramadan now is the time we have to harvest our crop of what we planned and what we prepared. Subhanallah, what a beautiful example. وعنه قال, and similarly has been narrated from Imam Abu Bakr al-Warraq, مثل شهر رجب أو مثل شهر رجب مثل الريح. The example of the month of Rajab is the example of the winds blowing. You know, when you know that it's going to start raining, you feel the cool wind, right? You see it's starting to get cooler and you see the winds blowing, you know that now, okay, the rain might be coming soon. وَمَثَلُ شَعْبَانْ مَثَلُ الْغَيْمِ. And the example of the month of Sha'ban is the month where the clouds start to gather, the rain clouds. So this month that we are in, actually the rain clouds of Allah's mercy are coming together. وَمَثَلُ رَمَضَانْ مَثَلُ مَطَرٍ. And the example of the month of Ramadan is like the example of the rain, because in the month of Ramadan, the rains of Allah's mercy start to descend. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us tawfiq to benefit from those rains of mercy. وَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ, and some of the pious scholars have mentioned, السَّنَةُ مِثْلُ الشَّجَرَةِ. The entire year is like a tree. Your life is these moments every single day, every day of the week, and every month of the year, and every year that passes. This is your life. So they used to give the example that as-sanatu mithlu shajara. The entire year is like your tree. This is your tree. This is your crop. Imagine if you're a farmer. So what's your crop? What is what you want to harvest? Where do you get your fruit? It is your life. So if you were a farmer and you were a cultivator, what is your field? What is your farm? What is going to give you the produce? Is your life. So this year, the entire year is like the example of the tree. So he says, شهر رجب أيام توريقها. The month of Rajab is the month where the tree of life, your tree starts giving leaves. Leaves start to grow. وشعبان أيام تفريعها. And the month of Sha'ban is the month where the branches start to spread out and it starts to blossom. You know, when you see after the fall and the spring comes, what happens first? First the leaves start to appear. And then after that, the blossoms start to come on the tree. وَرَمَضَانْ أَيَّامُ قَطْفِهَا. And Ramadan is the month where now is the time to pick your fruits. The fruits start to come out in the month of Ramadan. And on Eid, that is when you pick those fruits of all the efforts that you made in this blessed month. But it started way before. Preparation for that didn't start, oh my God, hey Shaykh, is it Ramadan today? I've gotten text messages on the first day of Ramadan. Shaykh, I heard it's Ramadan. Is it Ramadan today or is it tomorrow? SubhanAllah, what planet are you on? What world are you living in? What planet are you on? This is not the way that we make istiqbal of a guest. This is not the way that we receive such an honorable guest. Look at all of the righteous and pious scholars. What are they talking about? They're talking about preparing from Rajab. They're talking about preparing from 2 months in advance to prepare your heart and to prepare your mind. Subhanallah. In one hadith it is mentioned, amazing hadith, إِنَّ لِرَبِّكُمْ فِي أَيَّامِ دَهْرِكُمْ نَفَحَاتٍ أَلَا فَتَعَرَّضُوا لَهَا لَعَلَّهُ يُصِيبَكُم مِّنْهَا نَفْحَةٌ فَلَا تَشْقَوْنَ بَعْدَهُ أَبَدًا. Imam al-Tabarani narrates this hadith. It's amazing. إِنَّ لِرَبِّكُمْ فِي أَيَّامِ دَهْرِكُمْ نَفَحَاتٍ. Allah Azza wa Jal, in this world of ours, He has His waves of mercy. The waves and the clouds of Allah's mercy is blowing in this world of ours. Various blessed nights and various blessed times. Friday is a day which is blessed. Mondays and Thursdays, the Prophet ﷺ mentions these are days that are blessed. These are days in which the winds of Allah's mercy is blowing. You know, just like a meteorologist, when you're watching the news, the meteorologist says, oh, there's a big storm coming. There's a cloud formation. There's a storm coming. There's a cloud formation coming. And that cloud is going to bring us a lot of rain. Right? It's a river. Literally, they say it's a river in the sky that's going to bring down a lot of rain. The system is going to bring down rain. Allah Azza wa Jal also has system of the clouds of Allah's mercy. إِنَّ لِرَبِّكُمْ فِي أَيَّامِ دَهْرِكُمْ نَفَحَاتٌ أَيْ رَحَمَاتٌ. Allah has nafahat. He has the winds of mercy that blow, and they are seasonal. This is the monsoon season. You know, they call it the monsoon season. It just starts raining. This is the monsoon season. Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, where Allah Azza wa Jal is sending down the torrential rain of His mercy. So what should we do? أَلَا فَتَعَرَّضُوا لَهَا. So direct your hearts, focus, and be ready to receive the mercies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to prepare our hearts to receive this guest. أَلَا فَتَعَرَّضُوا لَهَا. Why? Because if your heart is not directed to that mercy, you might not receive it. If your heart is not focused on receiving that mercy, or you don't care, or you're spending that night in ghafla. Imagine that this is a night where it is a night of maghfirah. In many authentic ahadith, the 15th night of Sha'ban is mentioned to be the night where يَطَّلِعُ اللَّهُ إِلَى جَمِيعِ خَلْقِهِ. Allah Azza wa Jal looks with His special glance of mercy upon His creation. فَيَغْفِرُ لِجَمِيعِ خَلْقِهِ إِلَّا لِمُشْرِكٍ أَوْ مُشَاحٍ. And Allah Ta'ala forgives all of His creation except the one who is ascribing partners to Allah, or the one who is holding a grudge in his heart. Imagine that these nights come and go and we don't know. What are these nights? We don't know that this is the night where Allah Azza wa Jalla is looking upon us with mercy. And not only that, every single night. إِنَّ الرَّبَّ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى يَنزِلُ فِي كُلِّ لَيْلَةٍ. Allah Azza wa Jalla descends every single night as is appropriate for His Majesty. فَيَقُولُ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls, is there anyone who is seeking forgiveness? هَلْ مِن سَائِلٍ فَأُعْطِيَهُ هَلْ مِن مُسْتَغْفِرٍ فَأَغْفِرَ لَهُ هَلْ مِن تَائِبٍ فَأَتُوبُ عَلَيْهِ. Is there anyone who is seeking forgiveness that I should forgive him? Is there anyone who is seeking mercy that I should show mercy to him? Is there anyone who is asking me of something that I should grant him and bestow him? These are times that a believer should be aware, and his heart should be directed to receiving these blessings. For a person at that time to be unaware, to not know that this is the season of Allah's mercies, then he will not receive it. Right? Just like when it starts raining, what do farmers do? They put out their, especially in the desert, they put out their barrels, and they put out their trays, and they put out their vessels, so when the rain comes, they will receive the rain. When they know that the rain is coming, especially in the desert, then they put out these big barrels, and they put out these huge trays and basins, so when the rain comes, the people will be collecting that rain, so the rain doesn't go to waste. Similar is the rains of Allah Ta'ala's mercy on these blessed nights. Imagine these rains of Allah's mercy is descending. And what do? We don't put out our basins. We don't put out our trays. This is the basin that Allah gave us. My Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi, he used to say such a beautiful thing. He said, Allah has given every one of us this basin, this bowl, to receive. Just like when the rains come and in the deserts they put out their bowls, they put out their trays, they put out their basins to collect the water that comes. This is the way that we collect the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the sunnah of dua. People make dua like this. People, they pray like this. Muslims pray like this. What's the meaning of praying? This is like the bowl that we receive Allah Ta'ala's rains of mercy in our hands. And it is a sunnah which is mentioned in the authentic hadith. Some people, they lift their hands and then they don't wipe their hands, as if it's, some people say it's bid'ah, or the hadith is da'if. The hadith is not da'if. Ibn Hajar Asqalani, Al-Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen fi al-Hadith, صحح هذا الحديث. كان يمس يديه على وجهه بعد الدعاء. هذا حديث حسن. People, they raise their hands and then they put their hand down. It's a sunnah. You raise your hand, you receive the blessings, and you wipe the blessing upon your face. So these are the times where when the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends, just as the desert dwellers, they put out their basins to receive the rain. They put out their plates and their trays to receive the rain. The believer, this is how he puts out his hands to receive the rains of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, to make dua, to receive those blessings. You know, these are just some classical examples. I'll give you a modern example. What's a modern example? The modern example everybody knows, right? This is the modern example. That when you want to send a text message or receive a message, what do? You look for the Wi-Fi. So you got to turn it off airplane mode first, right? First of all, you got to turn it on. There could be the strongest Wi-Fi, right? But if your phone is off, you're not going to receive any signal. And sometimes the phone is on, but you've put your phone on airplane. Some of us, the Wi-Fi of Allah's mercy is all around us, is strong. The reception is very, very strong. The signal is very, very strong, but your reception is weak. Either the phone is off, you don't even care. I don't care Ramadan is coming. I don't care 15th or 14th or 13th of Shaban or Friday night or Shab Jummah or whatever. Your phone is completely off. May Allah save us. That our iman should be off. That our hearts should be turned off towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Turn your heart towards Allah. أَلَا فَتَعَرَّضُوا لَهَا. This is the meaning of the hadith. أَلَا فَتَعَرَّضُوا لَهَا. Turn towards Allah's mercy that is descending on these blessed nights. لَعَلَّهُ يُصِيبَكُم مِّنْهَا نَفْحَةٌ فَلَا تَشْقَوْنَ بَعْدَهُ أَبَدًا. Perhaps you receive one reception, you receive one signal. You receive one signal of Allah's mercy. You receive that message of Allah's maghfirah. You receive that message of Allah's mercy. Then after that, then subhanallah, you are set. It will give you a tawfiq that will grant you istiqamah upon deen. It will give you a ability to remain steadfast upon your deen when you receive these blessings. Sometimes it's about being at the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing. Some of the people, subhanAllah, they're with the wrong people, at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing. It messes up their entire life, isn't it? But in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ saying, لَعَلَّهُ أَن يُصِيبَكُم مِّنْهَا نَفْحَةٌ فَلَا تَشْقَوْنَ بَعْدَهُ أَبَدًا. It might be that you receive one mercy. We might receive one glance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. You're at the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing. You're in the masjid, you're making dua, or you're in your home, and you're making dua, and you're focused, and you receive on that blessed night one mercy, right? That completely changes your life. It completely transforms your life. It grants you an istiqamah. It grants you a steadfastness to remain firm upon Allah's deen. After which, inshallah, you will die with husn al-khatimah. The struggle that we are in today, brothers and sisters, the struggle. This is not so much as an intellectual struggle as it is a spiritual struggle. It's intellectual as well, that our deen is being challenged. Our religion is being challenged. People are making objections against Islam. People are making objections against our faith, against the Quran, against our Prophet. That's absolutely there. But there is another challenge. The reality of this challenge is spiritual. And the cure to that is to be in these blessed places, to do righteous actions. As the Prophet ﷺ mentions, بَادِرُوا بِالْأَعْمَالِ فِتَنًا كَقِطَعِ اللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلِمِ. بَادِرُوا بِالْأَعْمَالِ. Hasten to do good deeds before these fitnas come like the stages of the darkness of the night. بَادِرُوا بِالْأَعْمَالِ. He said, do righteous deeds. Spend time in the masjid. Spend time in tilawatul Quran. Fasting, praying. And inshallah we're going to be talking about all of the spiritual exercises that are in the month of Ramadan that is actually meant for our transformation. Why did Allah give us Ramadan? Because Allah wants to transform us. Allah wants to elevate us. Allah wants to change our hearts, transform our inner conditions to be able to tolerate the fitnas of this time. And the fitna of this time is a spiritual darkness. And the only way that you can dispel the darkness is to turning on the light. So you need to, when you're getting the signal, you have to direct your phone. Some people you see, they're trying to get a signal, they're going like this. They're trying to get a signal. That's what you have to do with your heart. You have to direct your heart to receive the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal on these blessed nights. So, for us to be aware of this and for us to prepare for it is of the utmost importance. Also, Imam Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, Sayyidina Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, he mentions that كان المسلمون إذا دخل شعبان أكبوا على المصاحف فقرؤوها وأخرجوا الزكاة. That when the month of Sha'ban would come, not Ramadan, the month of Sha'ban would come, it says that كان المسلمون أكبوا على المصاحف فقرؤوها. They would focus and they would completely engross themselves in the recitation of the Quran. They would completely focus fully upon the recitation of the Quran. And also they would try to discharge their zakat in this blessed month. And what was the objective of discharging the zakat in the month of Sha'ban? They said, تَقْوِيَةً لِلضَّعِيفِ وَالْمِسْكِينَ عَلَى صِيَامِ رَمَضَانِ. Subhanallah. What a beautiful intention. They said that look, the month of Ramadan is a month, you kind of need some supplies. You need iftari. You need groceries. You need, people always do, we got to go Ramadan shopping. We have to do Ramadan shopping. So subhanAllah, some of the pious people of the past, what they would do, that they would take out their zakat in the month of Ramadan. Why? تَقْوِيَةً لِلضَّعِيفِ وَالْمِسْكِينِ, to help and assist the weak, and to help and assist those who are destitute and needy, so that they can have something for the month of Ramadan. Not only for Eid, but also for the month of Ramadan. Just like everybody else, they do their Ramadan shopping, and they have to have some, provisions for this blessed month. Similarly, the poor and the destitute, they also have needs. So keeping that in mind as well, that just the month of Ramadan only is not the month for taking out your zakat. If you haven't taken out your zakat, do it in the month of Sha'ban. Do it earlier, in the earlier days of Ramadan, or do it in the later days of Sha'ban. So because one of the objectives is to help those brothers and sisters that are in need, so that they be able to be ready for the month of Ramadan. Another beautiful example that one of the scholars gave, he says, just as an athlete trains before a competition, right? When the actual competition comes, when the actual match comes, right, you're not going to prepare there. You have to prepare before that. So the ulama mentioned, he says, just as an athlete trains before a competition, we have to train our hearts before the month of Ramadan by starting to do a couple of nafil fasts. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that after the 15th of Sha'ban, he did not recommend that anybody should fast, because it might weaken them for Ramadan. So if there was any fasting that people needed to do, or maybe 1 or 2 days, maybe Monday and Thursday upcoming, a person wants to do, because these are the sunnah fasts, to prepare so you can get a feel of that. Otherwise, Ramadan comes and you just get, all of a sudden shock of fasting, and you weren't fasting the entire year. So it might come as a shock to the system. So just like a athlete trains before the competition, similarly the month of Sha'ban is a little bit of training to prepare for the actual, so when the month of Ramadan comes, you come very prepared. You come ready to come for Salatul Taraweeh, right? It's not something that, this is a burden. Oh, this is a headache. Oh, let me just get this out of the way. One of the beautiful things that my Shaykh mentioned, subhanallah, he says, I'm 90 years old. Our Shaykh, Shaykh al-Hadith, hafidhahullah ta'ala, may Allah preserve him, master of Hadith, master of the sciences, he said something so beautiful that it shocked me. He said, I think to myself, I'm 90 years old, and probably 80 years of my life, 80 Ramadans I've been through. I fasted about 80 Ramadans. And he says, I think about it, that how is this Ramadan better than my previous Ramadan? Allahu Akbar. Do we ever think about that? Every Ramadan that comes, we're scrambling. Oh my God, I got to do this, and it's like a burden, and let me just get this off. How can Ramadan be the season where this becomes our means of connecting to Allah? Where we start to enjoy it, where we start to look forward to it. Should we not upgrade? And he told us, upgrade your Ramadan. You upgrade your phone, you upgrade your car, you upgrade your couches, you upgrade your carpet, you upgrade everything. Upgrade your Ramadan. He said, sometimes I think to myself, am I doing the same Ramadan I was doing when I was 10 years old? Are you doing the same Ramadan now at this age that you were doing when you're 10 years old? Upgrade. And sit in the gatherings of those people that will tell you, how do I upgrade my Ramadan? How do I upgrade that this month becomes a spiritual month for me? This month becomes a month in which I give up all my bad habits. This month becomes a month in which, I build good habits and connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Upgrade. Even in your salat, don't let your salat be the same salat you were praying when you were 7 years old. Up, down, and you still don't know what you're saying. Just like when you were 7 years old, you didn't know what you're saying. Now you're 40 years old, you still don't know what you're saying in your prayer. What type of prayer is this? What type of fasting is this? If your prayer and your fasting does not make you a better human being, it has not corrected your character, it has not brought you closer to Allah, you need to think, is it you or is it that prayer? The prayer is meant to rectify you, but you are not ready. You have not taken it in the correct manner. You're not doing it right. Somebody goes to the gym and they're throwing their arms up and down and said, I'm not gaining. You're not even doing it right. What do you mean gaining? How are you going to gain? You're not even doing it right. You need a trainer to show you how's the proper way of doing it. So you do it and you gain something from it. Allah has given us Ramadan, and Allah has given us prayer, And Allah has given us fasting, that we become better, that we gain, that we grow. Why are we not growing? Why we're not gaining? Why we're going around circles? We're not becoming better people. We're the same person with the same bad habits and the same bad attitude. And we never change. It's because we don't know how to do it. And we're not preparing for it. And we're taking it as a burden. And we don't rectify our intention. Our intention is, oh, here comes Ramadan. Let me just get it out of the way. This is the season of rectifying. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you attain the connection with Allah. This is the objective. But if you don't prepare beforehand and you don't have a sincere intention, my dear brothers and sisters, Ramadan will give us only what we intend from it. When we go into Ramadan, we go with this intention. I just want to fast and I just want to get it out of the way. Here it comes. Like a bullet train. It's coming at me. Here it comes. Okay, let me just get it out of the way. So you got it. كَم مِّن صَائِمٍ لَيْسَ مِن صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعُ. How many a fasting person, they don't get anything of their fasting but hunger? Because that's what you intended. You intended to fast, so you got fast. You intended, whatever you intend, that's what you got out. Whatever you intend, that is what you will get. So maximize your intentions. And that is why the heart is the place where we have to rectify that. And inshallah, this weekend, alhamdulillah, for this objective, that the month of Ramadan is coming, we have a 3-day, inshallah, conference. A 3-day conference dedicated to how do we prepare our hearts. This is the ground. This is the ground of preparing and cultivating the fruits and the crop of the month of Ramadan. How we can cultivate this land. How we can prepare this earth, the earth of the heart, so that we can receive the rains in the month of blessed Ramadan and get the fruits of it, inshallah ta'ala. So I highly recommend, inshallah, the first lecture is going to be tonight after Salatul Isha. And Salatul Isha is going to be at 7:30. And I encourage all of you to, inshallah, join these programs that's going to be throughout this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it will end Sunday after Zuhr. And there will be another lecture. The final lecture will be after Zuhr, inshallah. Anybody that wants to go, you can go on the Masjid al-Huda website as well. And it'll give you the whole itinerary of what's the talks and what are the topics, so that we can, inshallah, make this program preparation for the blessed month of Ramadan that is coming. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanakallahumma hamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu.